Every time you pay income tax or pay for goods and services in India, a small amount of a small amount is collected in the form of 4% health and education cess by central government. The idea sounds simple and novel. The government says we need more money for health and education, so we are collecting a dedicated amount for these important sectors. Naturally, taxpayers assume that if government is collecting this dedicated cess amounting to tens of thousands of crores every year, then spending on education should be increasing dramatically. Surprisingly, that is not the case. For years, India has been discussing a public expenditure on education equivalent to around 6% of GDP. But public expenditure on education, center and states combined, has generally remained below that level. So what is happening? Is the education cess failing? Is the money disappearing? Or is the reality more complicated than it first appears? Today, we are going to discuss one of the most misunderstood concepts in Indian public finance. Let us understand the debate using a simple example. You are a college student. You are given rupees 10,000 for your expenses by your father. Out of that 10,000, you spend rupees 3,000 on books and tuition. One day, you tell your dad that education is getting expensive. You need more money for your education. Your dad says, fine, I will drive an Uber to generate the extra money. Suppose he earns rupees 2,000 by driving Uber. So he gives you the money. Naturally, you expect the total monthly support to become rupees 10,000 regular allowance plus rupees 2,000 from Uber, equal to rupees 12,000 in total. But then something interesting happens. Instead of giving rupees 10,000 as before, the father now gives only rupees 8,000 from his regular income and adds the rupees 2,000 from Uber. At the end of the month, you will still receive rupees 10,000 in total, and the dedicated education money did reach you, but your overall support did not increase. Economists call this the substitution effect or the budgetary crowding out. And this idea lies at the center of the debate surrounding the education cess, formed in 2004. And today, the education cess forms part of the broader framework for financing social sector spending. The money earned from the cess is not supposed to vanish into a black hole because it is earmarked for a specific purpose. Here, the critics raise an important question. Does the cess funded spending genuinely add to education expenditure, or does it replace spending that would have occurred anyway through ordinary budgetary support? This distinction matters enormously. If the cess collected replaces spending from other government revenues, then the taxpayer will see little net increase in educational funding. Now, proving either the government or the critics' point conclusively is difficult because a budget contains thousands of competing priorities and scenarios which is difficult to observe directly. This is where many public discussions become confusing. We often hear claims that education spending is falling. We also hear counterclaims from government that education spending is increasing. Surprisingly, both claims can be partly true. Suppose the education budget rises from 50,000 crore to 1 lakh crore. This is a huge increase in absolute terms. But if total government expenditure rises even faster, education share of the budget could actually decline. So if someone cites percentages, we should ask, are we talking about the share of the budget, or are we talking about the absolute numbers? Because both tell different stories. The famous 6% target refers to combined public spending on education by both the center as well as the state governments. States account for a large share of education spending in India, and looking only at the union budget can give you an incomplete picture. Education is a concurrent list subject. That means both the center as well as the states have responsibilities. It is also important to note that unlike many regular central taxes, cess is not part of the divisible pool that is automatically shared with states. The center retains control over how these funds are allocated. Much of this spending occurs through centrally sponsored schemes, where center and states often both share costs. Now here, some critics argue that some poorer states may find it difficult to provide the matching contribution, and when that happens, projects can get delayed and funds can remain underutilized or unused. And government argument is that this actually increases accountability and ensures that states have a greater stake in implementation. Once again, the reality is more nuanced than either side admits. Perhaps the most important question is not that is the cess existing or is it working, but the most important question or questions are learning outcomes improving? Are teacher vacancies being fulfilled? Are schools receiving adequate infrastructure? Are poorer states getting enough support? These are the questions that determine whether the taxpayer is getting the value for the money being collected or not. The Education Cess is not a magic tool, it is a financing tool. The real debate is about whether it supplements the existing spending or merely substitutes for it. Critics argue that cess is being used more like a replacement than an addition. Government argues that it provides a dedicated and stable stream for important programs. Now both sides agree on one thing. India needs better teachers, better schools, and better learning outcomes, and greater investment in human capital. The real challenge is not collecting money. The real challenge is that every rupee collected this way translates into better education for India's children.